He just shocked everyone as the Edmonton Oilers make one small switch on the blue line for their top four. That could unlock the team further on down the road. But before we get into the recap from the history-making night between the Edmonton Oilers and the Nashville Predators last night, make sure to subscribe here to Oilers Digest. If you're not part of the 17.5% that have subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Make sure you do hit that subscribe button and you join us along the ride for an interesting season of Oilers hockey. But without further ado, history in the making. Yes, last night, Connor McDavid coming into the game on 999 points. And yes, he did get point number 1,000 yesterday when the Oilers did take it in overtime 3-2 over the Nashville Predators. Yes, in overtime for the second straight game. Just looking at the scoring summary here in the first period, we almost had point number 1,000 in the first 3 minutes, but the Predators did make it 1-0 off of a Michael McCarron, I'll say a gorgeous redirect from a Roman Josi point shot over the shoulder of Calvin Picker that fooled everybody, including myself. And then in the second frame there, 4-on-4, Oilers Preds, Connor McDavid off of a feed from Leon Draisaitl. Normally it's the other way around on a 2-on-1, makes it 1-1, and that is history in the making with McDavid's 1,000th point. And then shortly thereafter, Darnell Nurse with his first of the season makes it 2-1 Oilers in the third period. The Oilers trying to lock it down against the Preds like they did against the Islanders and the Golden Knights, and it comes back to bite them once again off of a mishap at the blue line, at the Predators' blue line, and then Cole Smith on a partial breakaway tucks it past the 5-hole of Calvin Pickard and makes it 2-2. But in overtime, Connor McDavid finds Darnell Nurse on a very pretty tic-tac-toe passing play between Draisaitl, McDavid, and Nurse, gets the winner in overtime, and everybody was hearing La Bamba after the game. It was a huge win for the Edmonton Oilers, sweeping the season series of the Nashville Predators. Yes, we are only halfway through November, and the Oilers have already swept a season series. I can't remember the last time that even happened, but again, the Oilers all over Scott Wedgwood in the Nashville Predators. The Oilers, of course, running an 11-7 lineup as Victor Arvidsson was out in last night's contest. Everyone was waiting on his status heading into the game, but he did miss it. But the Oilers 11-7, very familiar with 11-7 under not so much Kris Knoblauch, but it was more so a Jay Woodcroft move when he would do 11-7. So a throwback to the olden days, if you will. But the Oilers leading this this Corsi contest with a 55, almost 56% Corsi for against the Predators, a very stout, stoic team that doesn't let you do a whole lot. But the Oilers getting the victory, and the Oilers even taking it on the high danger stat line here, 12-7. Against the Preds. I mean, every chance from the Oilers last night almost seemed like a high danger chance, with McDavid, smelling blood in the water and wanting that 1,000 point. But when it comes to the hockey stat cards, huge games by, Darnell Nurse, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Evan Bouchard with a huge bounce back game, Brett Kulak making a name for himself on this Oilers blue line, and then, going through the entire team, like near the bottom, I didn't think Derek Ryan had that bad of a game last night, which goes to show you these hockey stat cards don't exactly, necessarily correlate with the eye test. Most of the time, it's more of a visual aid than telling you how the game exactly went down, because I've seen some wonky stat cards when, I thought a player played horrifically, but the stat card said otherwise. But again, huge game on the Oilers offensively anyways, and just, looking individually here, again, Evan Bouchard, huge game, McDavid, huge game, it's all the necessary suspects that you expect to have a huge game, did have a big game for the Oilers last night, and that's what you're expecting them to do. You need your top guns to show out and do something worthwhile, and that's exactly what they did. Jeff Skinner, again, having a bit of a quiet night. You can see there's 63%, but, he's been trying to find his way in the lineup. I don't know if he doesn't see eye to eye with Kris Knoblauch. He had a few good chances last night, but again, you don't really know what's going on there with Jeff Skinner. I mean, they still haven't tried him on the power play yet. What are we doing here, folks? But Oilers, big game. And when it comes to the scoring chances, you can see there's a whole lot more blue than there is yellow, as Nashville wasn't really allowed near, Calvin Pickard. Meanwhile, the Oilers all over the crease of Scott Wedgwood. And that's something you'll love to see. They weren't getting in the dirty areas at all in the beginning of the season, and then they sort of clicked during the Vancouver game, and I think that was the catalyst. That was the TSN turning point, if you will, for the Oilers at this point of the season. And Kris Knoblauch, again, had a huge amount of praise for Darnell Nurse. He said a lot of it's moving his feet, more confidence with the puck, and being able to join the rush and make good plays. A lot of it is in the offensive zone, or the defensive zone, rather, usually winning a race for a puck, and rather than just battling it out to another area where it's just going to be another battle, he's been able to fend off a checker, and whether spin off him and find a forward to pass the puck to. There's been a lot of nice little plays like that he has been making. And yeah, like Darnell Nurse, huge game for him last night. I mean, both goals, he almost seemed like he was another winger for the Edmonton Oilers, but he was, great at, both ends of the ice, almost looking like a modern version of Paul Coffey, if you will. That is his coach on the bench. That might be blasphemy to some of you, but great game last night from Darnell Nurse. But that just goes without saying. But Brett Kulak, he seems to be the Darnell Nurse whisperer, folks. I know last year they tried this pairing during the playoffs, making Kulak play on his offside, or on his offhand offside, same thing. But he seems to be putting up fairly decent stats this year, not just on the scoring sheet, but on the analytics side too. Brett Kulak, unsung hero on the Edmonton Oilers blue line, so give him his flowers, folks. But what we were really here for last night, folks, was the 1,000th point for Connor McDavid, making him a fourth all-time on the on the fifth fastest players to get to 1,000 points. You can see there, Gretzky, what a freak! 424 games to get to 1,000. And then it was almost, 90 more games for Mario Lemieux, Mike Bossy, Connor McDavid, and Peter Stastny. So, fantastic names for, McDavid to be surrounded by on these stat sheet when it comes to scoring 1,000 points, because only 99 players have ever scored 1,000, believe it or not. But McDavid had some thoughts for the media. Normally he doesn't, but last night he did. He said, my dad made the trip today, so it was never not going to be tonight. I had to make it happen and make his trip worthwhile. Otherwise, it would have been a long flight home for him tomorrow. So I wanted to make it worth his while, and happy he was here. Just seeing the way the players reacted, that means the world to me. Of course, everyone off the Oiler bench went to go celebrate with Connor McDavid in the corner, and it was a joyous occasion, because it's not every day the Oilers get to go off the bench to celebrate a regular season goal, right? But just everything meant the world to Connor McDavid. It means everything to me, seeing my teammates happy and hearing the fans. That stuff means more to me than any of the numbers or anything like that. So it was a really special moment, honestly. And these milestones, I said the other day, it's a great time to reflect and look back. And it's been a good 10 years. And his father, Brian McDavid, was interviewed, and he said, the only goal for Connor McDavid was to win a Stanley Cup in Edmonton. So, that just goes to show how much he cares about the city, and how much, the contract extensions. I think he will be an Oiler forever, folks, because if Leon, he signed for 8 years, why wouldn't Connor? But with that being said, we do have another game to look forward to in our What's Next segment. Yes, the Edmonton Oilers are heading east for their northeastern Canadian road trip, and it all begins in Toronto tomorrow night against Austin Matthews and the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Mountain. So it's an early one, folks. It's not one of them late games on Hockey Night in Canada, so should be very exciting. And it'll be very exciting for Oilers Digest too, as after the game we will be live streaming with Darius from Leafs Digest, so make sure to pop into the stream, say hi, ask some questions, because there will be questions on both sides when it comes to discussing the game. Lots of stats, lots of analytical discussions, if you will, so make sure to check that out and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know down in the comments what you thought about last night's game. Have yourselves a fantastic evening and an even better weekend, and we will see you tomorrow night. I'm Matt.